In this lesson we move from Shannon town to Limerick city and to a school that is near the banks of the River Shannon. This study featured Westfields, which is a well-known nature sanctuary near the River Shannon at Limerick city. It becomes flooded when the River Shannon reaches high tide.
There's a water worm! We found a water worm! It's a water worm!
Wait, is this looking like a water worm?
It's a wiggly water worm! Where's the wiggly water worm? I see a worm! I see a worm! I think. I see a worm! I see a worm! There's a leaf section there! Wow! I see a back swimmer. Okay, I see like a back. Oh, is that the back swimmer? Look, there's a back swimmer. I knew it. It looks like. Look, there's a back swimmer. Where's that worm gone? There he is. Oh my God! Look at the big thing. Because that. I see a shell. I see a shell. Wow. That's cool. I can't snail. And the shell's all the way down there. There it is. Up on the ground.
Signposts around the area give good visual descriptions of the kinds of animals and plants, as well as the general context of Westfields in relation to the surrounding city and countryside. Teachers and students from the local Salesian school are frequent visitors to the Westfields site to learn about nature firsthand. Animals like the swan family shown here, including the young, are used to being visited by the locals who walk in the area frequently. The marshland's water level changes as the height of the River Shannon changes. There are a number of lakes within the area and all sorts of bird life to be seen, including a family of coots. Here we see a mother with 3 young. There are lots of ducks in the population. The male ducks shown here are called drakes. However, one must constantly keep a lookout for sights of unusual birds, or should we say less usual birds, in such a scene so near a city. This heron was apparently almost tame and allowed us to approach him very carefully before he took to flight, and we were able to watch him in flight more than once on the visit to the area. We also learned to listen for the different sounds that the birds made, whether they were on land, in the water, or in flight. The success of Westfields, like any other habitat in encouraging animals to inhabit, is that they also contain a wide variety of different types of plants and foliage. These plants are dependent on where they're positioned in the water, and we see lots of different types of grass as well as reed beds. There are unusual plants like water forget-me-nots, and then we also have to recognise that the plants are for both shelter and for food for the animals. Many school visits to Westfields are guided by Jeff Hunt, a biodiversity expert in the region. We can see in the photographs here and in the video to follow how he showed the children what to look for when they visited the habitat, as well as methods of sampling so that they could observe different types of organisms and also bring some of them back to school.
There's a water worm! We found a water worm! It's a water worm!
Wait, is this looking like a water worm?
It's a wiggly water worm! legally got on. I see a worm. I see a worm. I think. I see a worm. There's a section there. Wow. I see a back swimmer. Okay, I see like a back. Oh, is that the back swimmer? Look, there's a back swimmer. I knew it. It looks like. Look, there's a back swimmer. Where's that worm gone? There he is. Oh my God! Look at the big thing. Here's me. Because that. I see a shell. I see a shell. Wow. That's cool. Look at the snail. And the shell's all the way down there. And there it is. Up on the ground.
The simple technique of sweep netting allowed the children to gather samples of both plant life and organisms from the habitat. They were able to then look at these samples in special trays, and they had the ability to use magnifying glasses so that they could visualize the organisms more clearly. Their excitement was palpable as they shared their discoveries and made their observations together. And then they travelled back to school with some samples and containers that they were able to observe in the classroom. Bringing samples back to the classroom allows more observation of the organisms and their behaviour. But even more importantly than that, it introduced the children to the use of the microscope as a way of visualising more clearly. The final message that we get from this whole experience is that there is great value in discussing and documenting observations. Jeff did this with the students on the whiteboard, but they also wrote in their notebooks about what they had discovered on this particular lesson. Special thanks to teachers and students of Salesian School Limerick for their help with the making of this video.